We're going to continue on with the hypothalamic hormones. Remember that there's a blood connection between the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. So that blood connection, there's actually a portal system, and it's called the hypothalamic pituitary portal system. And the hypothalamic hormones are going to be released into that portal system, and they're going to tell the anterior pituitary gland which hormones to release or not release. Okay, before we get into the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary, let's just explain what a portal system is. So normally in the body, we've got the heart pumping out blood into an artery, and then the artery will flow into a capillary bed, and the capillary bed is where we do exchange. So we're going to drop things off to the cells and then pick things up, and then the blood will then enter a vein and then get returned back to the heart. So that's the way that the blood will flow through most areas in the body. But there are some areas in the body where there are portal systems. So this is a special arrangement where we've got the heart pumping out the blood to the artery, and then the blood flows into a capillary bed where we can do some exchange with the tissues, dropping things off, picking things up. But instead of the blood flowing into a vein and then going back to the heart, the blood will flow into a portal vein and then get taken to a second capillary bed. And then more exchange can happen there. Drop things off, pick things up, and then finally the blood will return to a normal vein and get taken back to the heart and then go back to an artery again. So we have one of these portal systems in between the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. So this is what makes up this blood connection between the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. So the reason that we have this here is because the hypothalamic neurons will secrete their neurohormones. So remember, we have these neurons here secreting the hormones that they make into this first capillary bed. And then the portal vein is in between these two capillary beds in the portal system. And then the hypothalamic hormones will jump off at this second capillary bed that's in the anterior pituitary, and then they will tell the endocrine cells that are in the anterior pituitary which hormone to secrete or not secrete, so depending on which hypothalamic hormone was secreted. So tropic hormones, this is a really important concept to know, so make sure you know this vocabulary word. So the word tropic, that just means to change. And so tropic hormones are going to go to another endocrine gland and tell them which hormone to release or not release. So tropic hormones can be releasing hormones, telling that other endocrine gland to release a certain hormone. Or tropic hormones can be inhibiting hormones, telling that endocrine gland, hey, don't release your hormone. So we're going to find tropic hormones being secreted by the hypothalamus and also the anterior pituitary. So that would be important to remember as well. Okay, so this is all written out, but I think it's easier if we take a look at a picture. So let's take a look at this tropic hormone pathway, starting with the hypothalamic hormone TRH. So we're just going to be going across the top here. So hypothalamus is going to secrete this TRH, which stands for thyrotropin releasing hormone, into the portal system. That'll get taken to the anterior pituitary. It'll jump off and tell the endocrine cells in the anterior pituitary to release its hormone TSH. So TRH is a tropic hormone because it's going to tell another endocrine gland, the anterior pituitary gland, to release the hormone TSH. Okay, and then TSH will then be released into the blood and TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. So TSH will travel to the thyroid gland in your neck, and TSH will tell the thyroid gland to release the thyroid hormones. And so we'll talk about these later, but there's two of them. There's T3 and T4. TSH is also a tropic hormone because it's going to tell another endocrine gland, this thyroid gland, to release its hormones, the thyroid hormones. Okay, but the thyroid hormones T3 and T4 are not tropic hormones because they're going to travel to different cells in the body, but they're not going to tell those body cells to release any hormones. Okay, they just end up changing the metabolism of the cells, and they don't cause them to release any hormones. So the T3 and T4, those thyroid hormones, are not tropic hormones, but TRH and TSH are both tropic hormones because each of these travel to another endocrine gland and tell them which hormone to release. These are all of the hypothalamic hormones. They're all tropic hormones. They're all going to travel to the anterior pituitary and tell the anterior pituitary which hormones to release or not release. Most of the hypothalamic hormones are going to be releasing hormones, and then there's two that are inhibiting hormones. So I want you to know both the full name and then also the abbreviation, because you could see either one if you're working in medicine. So if you know the name, it's pretty easy to understand what the hypothalamic hormone is going to tell the anterior pituitary to do. So for example, prolactin releasing hormone, PRH, is going to tell the anterior pituitary to release prolactin. Whereas prolactin inhibiting hormone, or PIH, which is the same thing as dopamine, is going to tell the anterior pituitary to not release prolactin. Okay, and so we'll be going through and working with all of these, and so they'll be getting into your brain as we go. All right. Growth hormone inhibiting hormone, that also has a second name just because we like to give multiple names to things in biology. So it's also called somatostatin. Somato means body, and statin, in this case, stop or stay the same. So it's just saying, hey, anterior pituitary, don't release the growth hormone. And this is just a really nice figure from your book. So up here on the top in purple, these are just showing you all of the neurons that are in the hypothalamus and showing all of the hypothalamic hormones that can be released. And they're just going to be traveling through that portal system to the anterior pituitary. And then they're going to tell the anterior pituitary gland cells which hormones to release or not release. And then those anterior pituitary hormones will then travel to their targets. And some of these anterior pituitary hormones are also tropic hormones, like we talked about TSH traveling to the thyroid gland and telling the thyroid gland to release its hormones, the thyroid hormones. So TSH would be a tropic hormone, but you can see the anterior pituitary hormone prolactin is not tropic because it'll travel to the mammary glands and tell the mammary glands to make milk, but it's not going to tell the mammary glands to release any hormones. So prolactin would not be a tropic hormone. And then this is just a summary, just showing you all the hypothalamic hormones and then what they tell the anterior pituitary to which hormone to release or not release.